Coming from the great American Southwest, from the very low desert, good morning, good evening, whatever the case might be to all my listeners around the world. I'm your host, Lionel Tavares from the Sabbath at Midnight, here to bring you another exciting episode here with my co-host, Dominic. And always blessed to be here by the Lord Jesus Christ himself for giving us another day and another opportunity to get people's story out there, spread the gospel, hear people's testimonies. So tonight's guest, I met him actually at Conspiracy last year. His name is Mike Edwards. He is ex-military. Correct me if I'm wrong. He is Army Special Forces Ranger. And, you know, I met him at Conspiracy, clicked very well, really liked his attitude, his style, and I want him on the show. And he's already done many episodes. He's good friends with John Pounders and all those guys. But I brought him on the show, interviewed him, kind of picked his brain a little bit on his tours in the Middle East. You know, he's a Christian man. He also has some pretty cool stories about some supernatural things that he encountered. And, you know, we just kind of pick his brain. Really good man. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. But with that being said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe on all our platforms. We're on pretty much on every social media platform, X, Instagram, YouTube. Of course, YouTube's the main one, and also Facebook. And if you have your own testimony to tell, we would love to hear it. Email me at the Sabbath at Midnight at iCloud.com or DM me directly on my Instagram account. I'm more active on there when it comes to answering personal messages. So please give me a shout out and reach out and we'll get you on the show. We would love to hear your story. Spread the word. It doesn't have to be, you know, always about aliens or demons. You know, it could be stories like this, could be something that you encountered, you know, a hard life situation, or maybe you did have a demonic encounter or an angelic encounter or an encounter with Jesus, who knows? But we'd love to hear you, so reach out if you want to be on the show. But without further ado, let's get on to the next segment and let's get into this episode. As I always say, hit the head, grab yourself a coffee, sit down somewhere comfortable and dark, kick your feet up, turn up the volume, and let's get ready for a very intriguing and exciting podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sabbath at Midnight. I'm your host, Lionel Tavares, as always, blessed and glad to be here by the Lord Jesus Christ himself, along here with my co-host, my father, Dominic. And tonight we have a special guest here. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our social media platforms in all 24 time zones around the world. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And if you guys can help out with the show, the links are in the bios for donations. If you can, great. If you can't, I'm always blessed to have these listeners. And the show's been going on for 5 years. And without you guys, it would not be possible. So tonight's guest, most of you know who follow me, I went to Conspiracy. I got invited by John Pounders and the guys. You know, it was a big thing for me since I've been following these guys for over a decade. Dream come true, met a lot of cool people there. This gentleman right here, this action figure looking guy right here, met him there. Dude looks like, in real life, looks like a freaking G.I. Joe, man. Dude's jacked to the gills. But besides that, the looks go with the attitude. This man is an I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to say anything wrong, but he's an ex-Marine, Green Brigade Ranger. I'm pretty sure it's a Ranger. I may have said that wrong, but he's going to go himself. Oh, Mike, I don't want to ruin your introduction. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was good meeting you there at Conspiracy. I concur with what you said. It was an amazing event. Got to meet a lot of amazing believers and other people. But yeah, basically I spent 22 years total in the military, most of that in an elite special operations unit called the 75th Ranger Regiment. And then within that, I was in the Ranger Regiment Special Missions Unit. So like you guys have probably heard of like Delta Force and SEAL Team 6. Those are special missions units. There's a lot more than just those two. Those are just the bigger, more commonly known ones. The one I was in was a lot more smaller and did more clandestine reconnaissance type stuff. It's called RRC, the Regimental Reconnaissance Company. And that's why I have my name up there, RRC Mike Edwards. So if you guys want to find me on Instagram or YouTube, I have a channel named RRC Mike Edwards and Instagram of the same name as well. There's tons out there about me on the internet, but ultimately I served in the military in an elite unit and did 18 combat deployments, worked with the agency. I saw a lot of corruption through the military. At the time when I was in, I just believed entrusted our government with everything. You know what I mean? So like I was completely sold to the system. And then I started seeing things. And then after I retired, I just started putting everything together and realized not necessarily everything that I did was on the up and up, even though I didn't mean, I didn't know that at the time. But I'll pause there for if you want to
Um,
direct me in a certain way.
oh no, dude. So with all that being said, I mean, this is a great topic to talk about because, as a believer, growing up, I was raised by my father, by my father's father. I live with my grandma. I mean, I live with my dad, my grandparents, and my mother. So I live with both of them. We lived on a big ranch, and definitely come from a military background. I didn't go to the military, but all my grandparents and his brothers are all in the military. Some of my cousins, and one thing about it, when you're growing up and you don't know all this stuff that's came out now, you're all about patriotism, war, 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 America first. Let's go bomb them. They're the bad guy, we're the good guy, right? And that's how I believed it for a very long time. I'm not saying, we're the bad guys, but I'm just trying to say that some things happen that we're not aware of, that we're finding out, that are like, sometimes we can be on the wrong end, without even knowing it. For example, I always hear all the time that the Vietnam War was started by a false flag, that whole thing where they shot down or they hit that boat or something like that, right? And then you hear about 9/11, things like that. I mean, do we have 100% proof evidence? No, but do we have a little bit of evidence? Yes, enough evidence to make you say, huh, what happened during 9/11 really? There's enough there for it to not be as clear as they say the story they want to give us. So I guess my question to you is that, when you started off in the military, did you ever see any things like that where you're maybe doing a mission, you're kind of like, huh, maybe this isn't the right route to go or something like that? Maybe it was against the policy, or maybe they're saying there was something there that really wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything like that?
Well, one of the things that we did is we trained Afghans to do clandestine work like us because there are places in Afghanistan where it's hard to get around as an American. I could blend in back in the day when my hair was a little bit shorter. It was long, but not quite this long. I had a much bigger beard, and I could blend in over there pretty well, but not everybody could. But it was really hard, even if you kind of looked the part. Like I could drive through an area and blend in, but if I got out and spoke or walked around, they knew I wasn't an Afghan
Oh yeah.
because we carry ourselves better. We're bigger. I'm a lot bigger than an Afghan for the most part. So we trained these into the same thing as us. And one of the things that we did was we would rent safe houses in town. So our guys that we trained didn't live in on military bases all the time. In some circumstances they did, but not all the time. So we went to rent these safe houses, and we were talking to some local real estate agents in the area. And one of the interesting things that we found out was this is one of those little things I put back in the back of my brain box, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. But I still trust my government. But what I found out was that all of the real estate in Kabul, Afghanistan, pretty much was owned by our politicians. So not just our politicians, but British politicians, Australian, Canadian, French, German, Russian, you name it.
Wow.
All these politicians own the real estate. And what was interesting is they bought this real estate pre 9/11, from what I was told. Can't prove this, but this is what I was told pre 9/11 for a steal of a deal. Like they were buying, let's say a 3,000 square foot house of decent, semi American type construction in Kabul, not like a mud house like out in the rural parts of
Oh yeah.
Afghanistan. I'm talking a pretty decent house. 3,000 square foot house they'd buy for like 2,500 bucks. 2,000.
Wow, that's wild.
I mean, that's how cheap it is over there. But these politicians were in turn renting this property back to us, just one house. We were spending 45,000 US dollars a month to rent this house.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and
Gosh.
that went on for 20 some odd years. Look at that investment, man.
Oh yeah.
But there was that, and then another operation that we did. Those real estate agents brought it up to us. We became friends with them, and we shot with them. We trained them a little bit. We were building rapport with them so that they could help us out, and we were actually kind of using them to gather intel through them as well. And these guys were telling us that there were all these black market weapons of U.S. military equipment stolen and being sold on the black market all throughout Kabul, Afghanistan. And they knew that this was bad because this really technological equipment like night vision and lasers and ISLIDs and things like that was being sold to the enemy. So the Taliban was getting access to this. So I put on a low vis camera with like dressed up like an Afghan with a concealed pistol, me and one other buddy, and we rolled into this place low vis and just kind of walked, talked to these people with some of our friends that were interpreters, and they were speaking to them for us, and we were just acting like as American expats, basically like non-military. Rolled up in there. Well, we bought tons of equipment, and because we spent so much money, they allowed us into the back to see the good stuff, which was, I mean, no joke stuff we don't want the enemy to have. And so we bought a bunch of this stuff, took it back home, laid it out, annotated all the serial numbers, took pictures of it. That's what we do, is like
Yeah.
make basically like a forensic layout, like a police report on like what we found, and reported it up to chain of command in an official report. And our chain of command was like, hey, you guys need to go buy some more. They gave us like $2,500 more. Said, go buy some more. So we went and bought more, brought it back. And then eventually they told us to stop messing with it. And then we broke in later on, installed a camera into the place, and caught U.S. military personnel coming and going, and government personnel coming and
Oh,
going, and
wow.
selling this stuff to them.
How does that?
So our government was essentially so this is what I believe. Like, I can't prove this without a shadow of a doubt, but all the things that I've seen, when I put it all together, I believe our government funded. I know for a fact that they funded the enemy completely, and they wanted the war to last, because when the war lasts longer, we get to sell more weapons, munitions. All these military industrial complex companies get to build more planes and rockets and missiles and Predator drones and rockets and Hellfires and stuff like that. That's a super lucrative market. And a lot of the money that goes for these big contracts filters through our politicians. That's how they make 175 grand a year, and they're, billionaires when they leave office. It's because they're taking all these bribes. So it's behooves them to go to let the war last longer. So they were funding our enemy through Pakistan. I've seen evidence of that. And they were funding our enemy and dispersing night vision and things to make the enemy more lethal against us as well. I don't
Wow. What about and as far, because you said right before 9/11 they were buying all those houses, and that's something that's purchases like that of any type of thing before war is always obvious, like someone's involved. Was there any like, I forgot, my Dominic would know the word. Was there people buying currency? Also, like, how they buy the currency, the value goes up and down. Was that happening
Yeah,
too?
I don't know about Afghanistan, but it did happen in Iraq. I bought some currency there too.
Oh,
Some
see, that's what I was
dinar.
asking. Didn't
Yeah.
RRC Dominic asked about that? You're the one that he knows about that. What's the deal on that?
Well, I know right now that their prime minister, or Sudani, and the CBI governor, Alak, they're telling the citizens that they're going to have more purchasing power soon. They're gonna go back to the golden days, which we all know is over $3 US, and this is supposedly imminent. No, it's been like 20 years, but they got all that oil, they got all these governments coming in, they got all this new contracts from different countries around the world. They're going to be the hub of the Middle East. They're talking about all this stuff of grandeur now in Iraq. They're building new cities, new communities. I mean, it's really booming out there. But they have to change their rate, because what I heard is the UN, the IMF, and the BIS is pressuring them, and so is Trump, to get it done now. But we'll see. But if you have Iraqi dinar currency, there's a possibility that you can come into some money.
Man, I hope so, because I've got a decent amount of it. And if it goes what they say, that the highest that it was worth, like $3 and some change, yeah, we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I heard from one of these information providers. Suppose he's got insights from bankers and all that stuff. He says that their bonds were selling at $5.96. The Iraqi bonds internationally. What does that mean? They're no longer under sanctions of the U.S. anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, already approved them. The IMF approved them. The UN. We're just waiting for the rate change now. And if it happens this year, great. I mean, I got plenty. And I mean, it's speculative. We don't know what's going to happen, but they have so much oil, dude. They have so much oil, so much gold. Now they're weak.
Valued high.
Yeah, they're weaning off the oil as their main economic power. Now they're into the agriculture now and trading. So I think there's a good chance it'll go soon. Hopefully. Hopefully. So people out there listening, man, you know what? Don't ask me about where I got my currency. Just look on the internet. I don't recommend anyone.
Relax. So I guess we got that one out there. So with that being said, moving forward, so what was your most I want to start asking you questions about all the stuff you've been through. I know the training's really hard, and one thing I wanted to ask you, what was the hardest like what was the most like heart-wrenching type of training you had to go through? Because I know they make you do a lot of things where they put you in a claustrophobic kind of condition. I want to know, I'm really curious to know what kind of training you had to go through. And when you tell me that training, I want to know if you used it in a real situation, because some of it's like, man, you're underwater for this long, or they make you crawl in a little tube. I just can't do it,
Yeah.
man.
There's a lot of stuff that I was trained to do that I never actually used in real life per se, because they trained us to be capable of doing and that's the thing, the difference in the unit that I was in versus, let's say, your standard Delta Force guy or SEAL Team 6 guy. Those dudes are to work in a bigger group of like 20 to 30 guys and kill bad guys. They can work in smaller groups too. But for us, we were kind of like lone individuals. We could work in a team of up to 6 dudes or even a bigger team, but we were designed to work by ourselves as well. So we had to have the capability to be completely self-sufficient. Like we were all trained in advanced medical stuff, live tissue training. Like if somebody got shot, like if it wasn't directly in the heart or the brain, but anywhere else, I could keep them alive pretty much indefinitely until we could get them to surgery. So we were trained for that. You talked about claustrophobic stuff. So we were trained in SEER school, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. So it's there's many different SEER schools. The one that I went to was the highest level one that there is. Bunches. I did several of them. Ultimately, they put us in. They caught us, beat us up, interrogated us, all kinds of stuff like that, and then they would put us in cells. The cell that they had us in was 2 feet wide by 2 feet deep,
Oh,
6 feet tall, and I'm 6'2", so I couldn't even stand up straight in the thing, and it was only 2 foot this way by 2 foot this way. So and it had a coffee can, a metal coffee can in the bottom of it that you had to pee and poop in. That's all you had to pee and poop in was a metal coffee can, and we were bagged the whole time with like a bag on our head so we couldn't see. And then they would give us 1 cold cup of oatmeal per day, so you're starving too. And then you're in there and they're jamming like Afghan music, and or like sometimes it would be like mariachi music in the background or like whatever. But it's just like like you hear this stuff, so you can't go to sleep, and it just keeps your mind running. And then they bring you out, beat you, interrogate you, throw you back in, put you in positions where it's painful to be in, on your knees, on like hard stuff on the ground, so it hurts. Basically stress positions. And then that was SEER school. They trained us how to escape out of things, pick out of locks, pick handcuffs. At one point in time, I could pick out of all like the basic types of handcuffs in probably about 10 seconds or less. And some of the more trickier ones, like the Smith & Wesson ones that were a little bit harder, I think would take about a minute to pick out, but I could still pick out them
that's awesome.
pretty quick. They taught us how to make homemade explosives. Like not only did we go and learn, I was a master explosive breacher, learned everything how to build explosives from like each individual component, putting it together, measuring it, calculating the blast over pressure, so I know how far I need to be away from it. But not only that, they taught us how to go to I could go to like Home Depot and get the things that I need and make military grade explosives out of it, like from just scratch, man.
That's sick. Hey, I don't know why. I think that's something that we're all going to have to learn one day. Have you seen any of those movies, 28 weeks later, 28 years later? I really think it's going to be like that. I don't know about the zombie part, but just how man is just completely restarting, and a bottle of water is worth, $1 million in that kind of situation. Man, that's awesome that you could do all that stuff. And a lot of that stuff that they taught you, like the people in the Middle East, because I've done a lot of research on this, and to the audience, I'm not just I'm talking off of facts. Now, my question to you is that in those Middle Eastern countries, the inbreeding rate is like 90%, right? And their IQ on average, and people could look this up, the IQ is very low. It's a little bit below 70, which is basically mental retardation, right? So my question would be, how did these people, and this is a very serious thing that I'm saying, people might think I'm talking shit, but I'm not. How do you think these people with this kind of IQ learn how to build their own or their own bombs, and be able to put all these different things together, and then even go even further? I think that the reason why a lot of these terrorists are very easy to control, like to get someone to strap a bomb on your chest and blow yourself up. I think it's because of that inbreeding deficiency of the mental capacity. I mean, it'll be a lot easier to control a bunch of people that way. So my question to
There's a
you is,
little bit of that. We did run into that. There would be adult men on target that would be chained in a room. Like there would be an adult child. Like sometimes they're chained like slaves into a room, and they're violent because they're just like a child that's like an adult. You know what I mean? Like a dude
yeah,
like
it's
his
wild.
size that's just like a child. I had it like that happened in Iraq too. That we went on a rooftop and one of my guys was fighting with a dude trying to cuff this dude, and the dude was manhandling one of my dudes, a smaller dude, around, grabbing him by his sling. And so I ended up grabbing the dude and choke slam. Back then I was like 240 pounds. I grabbed him and like DDT'd the dude on his face on the concrete, broke his jaw and everything. And then we ended up killing that dude. But he was
Oh
just
shit.
mentally retarded. And like we couldn't, like he was aggressive. So we had to take him out, but that happened a lot. But there are a lot of very intelligent people over there too. Don't get me wrong. There is some inbreeding and stuff like that, but there's some very intelligent people over there. Some of the guys that we work with, we weeded and filtered through them, and we found guys that were really smart, really physically fit, sharp dudes that could do anything that you needed them to do. But yeah, they are some of they do take advantage of some of these guys that are on the lower spectrum there. And the suicide bombers, in a lot of cases, are those kind of guys.
Wow, man. The reality because I asked these questions, I probably asked about 3 different people that done some tours out there. And, I asked the question because it's just hard. It's hard. It's kind of hard for me to put that into reality. And, one of my friends, he went on tour. He went on tour after 9/11. My friend Chucky, he's got to be about almost 40 now. But he told me that he was doing some recon, and there were some parts where they just have to watch like this certain areas for days at a time, and it'll be like clockwork out there. He said he would see like these like kids anywhere from 15 years old to 50 years old, them just having sex with the goats and the cattle, and it's like an everyday thing there. And they even witness like all these sick type of abusiveness to their sisters. Is that stuff really prominent out there? I mean, because this stuff blows my mind. I'm just like, to me, I've never been to the Middle East. I don't think I have any business going there at least anytime soon. It's just these questions that I want to ask, because to me it's such a crazy reality. And like, and in the UK, they want they want this, like they want this kind of culture to take over the UK. And it seems like the left wants that to happen here in America. And it's just wild to me. Can you you've seen anything like that there? Is that stuff true, or is this just some kind of
Yeah.
stereotype racist stuff?
No, I'd say it's true. It's probably not as prevalent as what people say, but it does happen. I mean, it
Oh
does
my
happen.
gosh,
Think
that's
about it.
wild.
There's literally, it's lawless over there. I mean, even when we were there, we were the law, and we didn't govern. We didn't. I should say, enforce anything. All we did was go after bad guys, kill them, and then roll out. We didn't enforce law, so like it was lawless everywhere else
Oh
in the
shit,
country,
that's sick, man.
unless we were on site. And it's kind of been that way for the longest time. So yeah, there is a lot of atrocities. I mean, they're a lot of the Taliban are beating our guys now and killing them, and destroying their wives and children and stuff like that.
Oh shit, man, that's crazy. So moving forward, um, I want to ask you some questions about all your combat experience, if you don't mind talking about that. These are, I love to hear these kind of stories. My grandfather would tell me his all the time. I want to get into talking a little bit about some of the tight situations you got in, and just I would like the audience, because a lot of kids, man, there's a lot of kids that listen to my podcast. When I say kids, I'm talking 30, 20 years old. Those are kids to me. And they, a lot of them don't have a realization about what real combat is. I'm a boxing coach, so I have some kids in there that want to go to the military, and they do some things in the gym as a boxer that they shouldn't be afraid of to do. And it just tells me, if you're not willing to do this, you're not ready to go to the military and try to kill somebody, or someone try to kill you. Boxing is different. There's a risk you can die, but most likely you're not going to die. It's a sport. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's entertainment. um a lot of these kids don't have a realization of, I want to be a Marine. Well, bro, you're crying over here that you have to do 100 sit-ups. You're not
Yeah.
ready for the Marines. So please go ahead and give us some of those.
For example, there's missions that we could do. Like one of the missions that we had to be trained to do is jump out of an airplane at nighttime with a 120-pound rucksack strapped to us with night vision on, open our parachutes and fly, however many kilometers across the ground, land in a hidden unmarked drop zone in the middle of nowhere, and then take that pack and walk 40 miles over the roughest mountains on planet Earth. And it would take us sometimes 2-3 days to walk that distance. And we'd be walking all night and trying to cover as much distance as we could. And then that's just getting to the mission. That's just our transportation to the mission. The canopy ride all the way down clandestinely, and then this very long walk sneaking past, sentries and dogs and stuff like that as we're trying to sneak in and be undetected. So there's that. And I have broken my foot before on a walk in, not a long walk like that, but a walk where I was wearing full body armor. So I probably weighed 300 pounds with kit and everything. And my body with body armor and everything, mind you, I weighed like 240 at the time. And then I've got all this kit on. So it puts me up about 300 pounds, snapped my foot, broke a bone in my foot, and finished walking about another 10 miles or 10 to 12 miles 8 to 10 miles into the target. And you just have to do that, man. And that's the thing. That's the difference in the unit that I was in. And for example, like Navy SEALs or like things like that, there's just a difference. That's the unit that I was in was a no-fail mission. We go out, if a dude gets dehydrated and goes tits up, we strap that dude to a litter and we'll carry him to the mission. We're not going to stop the mission just because a dude's struggling. And we've worked with some of these other units, and a lot of people don't realize, but I mean, I've been on missions with SEAL Team 6 dudes where all the SEAL Team 6 dudes quit on the mission because they were just not in good enough shape. So a lot of people look at that there's just because the media tells you that Navy SEALs are the most elite, it's not necessarily the case.
Oh, okay. So as far as all these different elites go, so you would say the Navy SEALs, and then it goes the Marines, the Green Beret. How does that? What's the
the special operations units? There's typically they're categorized in tiers. And a lot of people, they don't use the tier system anymore, but the tier 1 units are the top tier. That's like Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the unit that I was in, and a couple other organizations as well. The Air Force has one, but the Marines don't have a tier 1 unit. But then below that is tier 2. So I was in the Ranger Regiment Special Missions Unit. It's tier 1 unit, but with the Ranger Regiment is a tier 2 unit as a whole. So Rangers support Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, and all that stuff. They do missions with them. They're their backup firepower when it's too big of a fight. Because you got to realize, Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 aren't made to take out anything. They're surgical. So sometimes they hit something and they don't have enough firepower. So they need Rangers to come in and whack the enemy for them. So that's what Rangers are for. Then below that is Tier 3. Tier 3 is Navy SEALs, Marines, Green Berets, and all that stuff. They're much bigger organizations with a lot more people in it. It's a lot less selective to get there. And some of them have long training pipelines, but their mission set is different. Their mission set is preparation of the battlefield for organizations like the one that I was in. So Rangers, that's all they do is hunt down and kill bad guys. A lot like Special Forces and Navy SEALs in time, they do stuff to prepare us to be able to find the bad guys so that we can kill them. Everybody has their own little niche, but then SEAL Team 6 is a tier 1 unit.
Okay.
Organization. It's not, in my opinion, there's a lot of great dudes there. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of the guys were lacking fitness from what I saw.
Oh yeah, I noticed that a lot with the military. At least nowadays, it's kind of a little bit more laxed, I would say, with the standards of getting in there. But I think Trump kind of turned that around a little bit. He got rid of all the trannies. I think you're not allowed to be a tranny anymore. So that's one step closer to something better, right?
Yeah.
So my next question to you would be, I would like to know if you're comfortable telling me, a sticky situation with the firefight. Did you some close calls?
Yeah. So there's a story that I tell a good bit. I've told it on several other podcasts. I think a lot of people like to hear this. So I was in Afghanistan working for the CIA at the time for a special program they have there while I was active duty. I was the only Ranger assigned to a team of SEAL Team 6 dudes that were attached to them. So we had Rangers working this program and SEAL Team 6 guys working it. But at this position, and it was sometimes mixed teams, But at this position, I was the only Ranger and a bunch of SEAL Team 6 dudes. And we had been planning this mission. We were going to go out. There's going to be a bunch of fighters. We had done mission after mission after mission going after some of these agency targets. And nothing. There was no bad guys. Like, we'd go, nothing. And it's like, dang, man, we want to kill some bad guys. We're going out, nobody there. So it's easy to get complacent. And so after a little bit, I didn't feel good this 1 week. I had like stomach issue, and I think I had food poisoning. And then this mission comes down, and the team leader, this guy, the SEAL Team 6 guy, was like, "Hey, Mike, how you feeling?" And I was like, "Man, I'm still sick." I'm like, we haven't shot our guns yet on the whole deployment. So I was like, you know what? I'll just stay back on this mission. I've never done that before, but I felt really bad. I had no energy. And he's like, "Nah, dude, I need you to go on this mission." And I'm like, "All right." Because I was kind of like the assistant team leader. I was like the number 2 guy down from him. And so I was like, "All right, I'll go." So we roll out. I'm like throwing up, like driving in my vehicle, flipping my night vision up, opening the door, vomiting out the door, shutting the door, keep driving. We get there, and then we walk in about 10 kilometers to get there. So I'm walking in the front with an MP7, which is like a little sub gun. And as we're sneaking in, I just started feeling better a little bit as we got there. Well, then we get to the target, and we can see these dudes where the head wraps, the big turbans on their head, and like looking like Taliban mullahs. And we're like, man, something's up with this. So all of a sudden, the sickness was gone, and like that switch flipped, and I was in killing machine mode. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to start taking charge of stuff. We move up. Everybody's trying to set in our Afghan indige and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to go get eyes on the target so I can make sure we're at the right spot. So I snuck up with a couple Canadian snipers with the Tier 1 unit from Canada. And they crept up with me. We're walking down this trail, and there's like limbs hanging down so you can't see. And with night vision and lasers, if I shine my laser, it's going to blind and flash off of the vegetation. So you can't really see beyond it. It blinds you. So these dudes all of a sudden start speaking in Pashto. And I'm like, what the heck? So I sweep this limb out of the way, and I come up with my laser in the middle, and there's a dude with an AK standing there. So for us, if a bad guy is a threat, if we see a dude with a weapon, we can immediately shoot him. It's on us as judgment. But the Canadian guys had much stricter rules of engagement. They couldn't shot unless shot at. So they were trying to tell this dude to put his weapon down, and I swing the limb out of the way, and I come up between the middle, and I just start drilling that dude right in the chest with the MP7. He goes down, and the MP7 is kind of a really small round, so it's just zipping through him. And he goes down, but he squeezes his AK and fires a couple rounds into the dirt, so dirt goes flying up. The Canadian snipers dove off to the side, and then I moved on up to the target, looked over into the target building, and there was about a 4-foot mud wall next to me. Mind you, it's at nighttime. I'm up on a levee with like a 4-foot wall, and then it drops down into the compound about 10 feet. So I look over, and there's dudes laying there with like rifles. It crossed up like it's boot camp, like basic training style, like it is a fighter camp. So I'm like, dang, this is a legit fighter camp. And they're awake now because I just shot that dude, and he fired off some shots. So I look over, dudes are calling to their guns. I tagged a couple dudes in the back of the head. About that time, all the SEAL Team 6 dudes and the agency guys come running up because they hear me shooting up there. They come running to the sound of gunfire. We just start engaging, throwing grenades over into the compound. Boom, boom, boom. A dude came out of the house. There was a house there on the corner. A dude came out of the house, and I smoked him right in the forehead with the MP7. He falls back onto a lantern that busted and caught the whole house on fire. And the house was filled with Chinese C4 and like a ton of money, and like cash money that caught on fire. So we ended up pulling back because we were in a big gunfight at this point. Machine guns started opening up on us. So we pulled back, hit it with like AC-130, like Spectre gunships. We hit it with like Hellfires and missiles and gun runs from A-10s and stuff like that. And then we went back in and cleared the target. And got another little gunfight where a machine gun opened up on us, and the SEAL Team 6 dude, who was the team leader, who was right next to me, we were like taking a knee on this trail like this, and he was like just to this side of me, and I'm standing there, and this machine gun burst goes off, and I could feel like the slap of like the rounds, like the concussion as it went by. So I knew the bullets missed my arm by like not very far. And the SEAL Team 6 dude, I talked to him afterwards. He felt it on his right shoulder. So a burst of machine gun went right between the two of us and didn't hit either one of us. I mean, it was really close. We were probably 3 feet apart. And then we ended up shooting that dude, throwing some grenades. We had gotten a near ambush, killed a machine gun team there, and then ultimately pulled off, and we killed about 80 dudes in about 45 minutes or so. By the time we pulled off, we took 0 casualties though.
Oh wow, damn! And how many of there were you versus those 8?
We probably had 150 people.
Oh yeah,
It was a big group, but most of the people didn't get in the fight. The main people that were even shooting was me and the SEAL Team 6 dudes and the agency guys that were with us. The indige were on the corners, kind of like protecting, but they're some of them are good, some of them are not. You have to tell them what to do, you know what I mean, to move and do it. They can't really operate on their own. Well, a lot of the guys couldn't operate on their own, so most of the guys were killed by us and by the CAS or close air support.
Oh wow, man, that's that's a hell of a that's a hell of a job, dude. Like I'm pretty sure the first time you had to take somebody out, it was probably different. And how many times do you have to do this for it to be just boom, next? Like,
Well, it's kind of like I got adjusted to it pretty easily. Got in a couple little gunfights, shot at some vehicles and with some people in it. Don't know if I killed anybody, but they were all dead and we all shot at them. So some of us killed them.
yeah,
So it kind of eases you in. You're like, maybe I killed those people, maybe I didn't. And then that happens. And then you go and clear some rooms. You see other people kill people, but you don't get to kill people. And then you get to shoot a person. I think the first time I really got to shoot a bunch of people and got in a really bad gunfight was in Iraq in 2005. And that was when I got the Silver Star and the Purple Heart in that shootout. But then later on in Afghanistan, I got lots of big gunfights and lots of close calls and stuff like that. And after a while, I mean, it got to where it was no big deal. Like most of the guys in my unit, I mean, not only we were like killing machines, like trained to kill like the most lethal way possible at nighttime. And like we could move around at night and hunt people better than they could hunt us in the daytime. So that's how effective we are. These guys have no clue where we're at. And we're just shooting them with precision accuracy, moving up. I mean, it's literally like the video games, except our advantage is so much better than theirs because they don't have night vision.
yeah. Jeez, wow, that's so crazy, man. And how long did you do this for? How many years were you on?
22 years total.
And when did you stop? How long ago did you stop?
2019 is when I retired.
Oh, okay.
So, and then after I retired, I was training dudes to do this stuff. So I was teaching advanced military free fall. I was teaching SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, Rangers. I helped stand up MARSOC's free fall team. I trained special forces. I trained Navy SEALs in surveillance detection, counter surveillance, tactical stuff like that. And so I did that for up until about 2022, 2023 timeframe. And then now I'm just completely retired, just kind of doing consulting stuff.
Wow, good for you, dude. I want to learn how to do all that stuff. Too bad you don't live. Too bad I don't live where you're at because you don't want to live in California. Trust me. But you live in Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Rainbow, Alabama. That's what part of Alabama you live in?
Down south, man. We're down south, not too far from the Florida state line.
I have a friend who's moving out there. He has a big YouTube channel. I'll link you up. He's a big conservative Christian. He's moving to I forgot what part, but his name is Jeremiah Babe. If you ever heard of him, he just talks about the news, conspiracy stuff like that, and it'll be good for you guys to link up. He's all he does that same stuff. He teaches people how to shoot guns too, but not like you though, man. You're on a whole nother. You could probably teach me how to shoot bazookas. This guy is all with handguns and stuff, but rifles. But yeah, I'm gonna link you up with him, and that'd be cool. So you guys could be friends out there. So speaking of guns, I wanted to ask you something about some current events because there's a lot of I hate when these dumb conspiracies come out, but some of them are like, man, I just gotta look into it. So you being a professional with guns and all the angles and all the stuff. What's up? You already know the question's coming. What's up with this Charlie Kirk thing, man? It looks like the bullet. They say the bullet came from this way, but it looks like it came out that way. And you got the muzzle flash. Your opinion? Before I get your opinion, I want to tell you what I think. Number one, the size of the bullet that hit him supposedly. I'm not a gun enthusiast, but I shot enough guns to know that if it was the gun that they said he hit with, it would have blew a whole chunk out of his neck, right? The exit wound.
Oh, yeah.
Number one. Number two, the angle that the bullet comes out doesn't make any sense from the angle from the rooftop. And I guess number three, what is your outtake on it? What's your outtake on that?
So for me, I haven't really dug into that. Like I dug into the Trump shootings because I was actually asked to provide security for Trump after that. which that's
Okay.
a whole another debacle in and of itself. It was just a fraud to raise more money for Trump, basically. But we so with this one, I do know, like, I just have heard little snippets that people have come to me about. Like, for one, when I first saw the video, I was like, it does look real. Like, it looked like something would be like I would expect if somebody got shot in the artery with a clean pass through, not hitting the bone, but with a smaller caliber bullet, like a 5.56, 223, something like that. Maybe even like a pistol round potentially. But because of the distance, they said, I'm like, it has to be a rifle if that's correct, right? 150 meters has to be a rifle. And so I was like, it's probably like 5.56 or something small like that, full metal jacket and clean pass through. But then somebody brought up, like, they were like, hey, there's no blood splattered on the back. And if it was a clean pass through and hit that artery right there, there would have been tons of blood splattered on that stuff behind him. So then I hear that it was a 30-06, and the sound from the video that I originally saw, and I have, like I said, I haven't dug into this. It sounded like you could hear the supersonic crack, but not a loud boom, almost like it was a suppressed rifle or of some sort. But then they said it was an unsuppressed, 30-06. Well, I was like, well, if it was a 30-06, he got lucky, and it must have never hit bone and just clean passed through, and it must have been a full metal jacket. So a full metal jacket could have probably gone through without hitting bone and made it happen like that. But if it hit bone, they're saying that the bullet stopped on his spine. That's impossible. There's no way on planet Earth that a 30-06 went and hit that dude's spine and stopped. It would have probably taken his whole head off. His head would have probably fallen back limp, hanging by like a little strap of flesh, and probably
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it might have even ruptured. Like, if it was like a expanding deer rifle bullet, 30-06, and you hit him in the bone in the neck, dude, it would have decapitated him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's some kind of pistol round. And you said you analyzed the Trump thing. What's your opinion on that? With the whole Trump?
He was definitely not shot in the air. I don't know all the details around it, but from everything that I can find, he was definitely not shot in the air. I know people who saw that dude probably with less than a week afterwards, and he didn't have that patch on his ear, and there was no wound. If he had got shot, even just nipped with 5.56, he would have had probably a hole about that big in his ear, which is what I would expect, about 2-centimeter hole. The official doctor's report said it was a 2-centimeter hole in his ear. That's huge. That's the size of your eyeball, bro. Like, that's what I would expect. But from what I gather from friends that were close to him, they even said there's something shady about this. They were like 3 to 4 days afterwards, he had no patch on his ear. His ear was perfectly unscathed. So he only wore that patch in public. It was like the Democrats and the COVID people wore the masks in public, but not in private. Yeah, it was kind of the same thing. He wore that patch in public, but not in private.
Wow.
Dude, he would have had black and blueness on the side of his face, swelling. I mean, like, you fight and wrestle cauliflower.
You're gonna get. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A bullet, there should be a lot of damage there, and I always
cauliflower ear or some sort of cartilage damage that would have lasted for a while, man.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff doesn't make any sense, and it just drives me crazy because you start to listen to these people that have a conspiracy about everything. Like, there's people out there that really believe Charlie Kirk is alive and on an island somewhere just chilling. There's people that actually believe that. And I don't know. I mean, do they have the right to believe it? Sure, but I mean, if I go down that rabbit hole, I might believe it. That's the problem.
I don't think that's the case, to be honest. But then I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised, because that's what our government does, to be honest with you. Our government, kicks off false flag stuff like this all over the world just to drive agendas and narratives, and Israel does too. A lot of other places do as well. A lot of these agencies, that's what they do. And it's just, they're shifting power, and they know how to do it. They analyze it very well, and they do power shifts in certain places, even here in the United States.
Well, speaking of that, do you know of anything information of anything recently what's going on? Have you got any inside scoops or anything with these wars going on? We have all this stuff going on with Ukraine, we got China, we got Russia. I mean, what else is new? I mean, there's so many things going on.
Got Venezuela.
Venezuela, what's up with? You got the Venezuela thing. That might be another false flag.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I haven't tracked any of the Venezuela stuff, but I have intimately tracked the Middle East, because I rescued a bunch of people out of Afghanistan. I still have a massive intelligence network in Afghanistan. I don't leverage it anymore, but I still have access to it, and I get reports from these guys intermittently. But when we pulled out of Afghanistan, as per Trump, he says we left $84 billion worth of equipment there. I don't know if it was that much, but it was a lot for sure. Yeah. And I saw that stuff being sold by the Taliban to Pakistan, to Iran, to Syria, to China, to Russia. All that stuff was sold out, right? So then here we go. The United States gets involved. The United States created the war in Ukraine about 16 years ago. It was when they staged the coup over there to overthrow all the stuff. It's been going on for that long. The actual combat just didn't start until a couple years ago. So the United States was involved with that, with the agency and all. And then we go funneling $150 billion worth of equipment and money over into Ukraine. Well, I have a friend of mine who's active duty in special operations who did an audit on that stuff. And he went over there and he was like, man, 98% of the stuff that we sent to Ukraine was sold to Russia, China, Iran, Syria, and the Mexican drug cartel. So there's not this war that they say is going on in Ukraine is not exactly what we're being taught. Most of the crap you're seeing on the internet is propaganda, and it's to drive us to want to keep sending this money. All of this equipment now from Afghanistan and Ukraine has filtered in to support Hezbollah and Hamas, because Hezbollah and Hamas are supported by Iran, Syria, China, and Russia. Now let's look at Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini. Have you guys heard of that?
No, Bob, tell me.
So Albert Pike was like a 33rd degree Freemason who wrote a letter back in the 1800s, and he talked about how World War II would come about, World War I, II, and III. And World War I and II happened exactly the way that he said. World War III is aligned. If this is World War III, it's already lining up exactly how he said. He said all the communist countries would support Islam to attack and take out Israel and Israel's allies. And the whole point for it is because you guys know that Israel over there is not the Israel of God. When we accept Christ, we're the Israel of God. But the modern day churches are taught that that's the Israel of God, and they believe that. And when that Israel is destroyed, people are going to lose faith. They're going to be like, God's not real. Like that. The Bible says this because they believe that the Bible says that because their preachers tell them. So, and even in that letter from Albert Pike, he said that's the reason for it. They're going to destroy Israel to break religion and to break the faith across the world into utter atheism. And then those people that now have a deistic spirit, meaning they just believe that there's a God, but they don't know which God, they will then worship the Antichrist. And they're already staged to do it, man. Most of the people in the modern religious system are really already paying homage to the Antichrist, and they just don't realize it.
Holy shit. That is damn, that's scary. Holy moly.
Just like they said it, man.
A lot of Christians do. You have to support Israel. The Jews are our brothers. They must have forgot they're the ones that killed Jesus. I mean,
and a lot of those people that are currently there aren't even Shemites. They're Japhethites, if you trace the lineage.
Don't they? What are those again? I thought they were mostly Eastern Europeans speaking Yiddish before, not Hebrew. What are they? Go ahead and
there's Ashkenazi Jews is one of the things, or Khazars is one of the terminologies for them. They're essentially like Edomites and also like Japhethites that come from the lineage of Japheth that went over there. They later converted to Judaism and then came back and took over the country after all of Israel was dispersed ultimately.
And I know in Israel they don't allow gene testing, right? Is that true? They don't allow.
That's what I've heard. I can't prove it.
That would make sense though, because they don't want to get discovered of the lies. The Bible says, and doesn't Jesus call them the synagogue of Satan? They're not the real Jews, and a lot of Christians have a hard time accepting that. But it's starting to come more and more prevalent. The stuff that they do is coming out in the open. Whether you want to believe it or not. I mean, one of the biggest things that blew my mind. And it blew a lot of people's mind, but we're so conditioned to everything that's happening that we don't even care. I remember 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, when the Illuminati stuff started coming out in Hollywood, and nobody thought it was real. And then once it came out, like in 2010, 2011, 12, it got really, pushed out there. Then everybody knew that the Jews owned every single big Hollywood studio, and that right there, Yeah, that too. And that should be a big deal, right? But here we are, no one even cares. You know, let them just have it and we'll deal with it. You know what I mean? Like it's just so everything is right in front of us. And I'm guilty too. I mean, what do we got to do? Like strap a bunch of guns on and, you know, get 1,000 people and start taking these people out, man. Like what can we actually do about this stuff? It's really hard to just watch
Dude.
it all happen and not do anything about it. It's kind of bothersome, man.
Well, the thing is, man, it's not our job to do anything about it. It's the Most High's job, right? He's going to handle it all. We're just supposed to know it to discern it, right? When you see the world like this, you know, I look at everything through the lens of Scripture. I look at the Scripture, and I'm like, you know, if you're being told this, I'm looking at Scripture to see if that rectifies the Scripture. If it doesn't, it ain't truth to me. And that's the way I look at it. And that's the only thing that we can do. We can pray, we can keep our families safe and hide out in the wilderness. But here, I would tell Americans to be aware, and I'm not trying to make them be fearful, but be aware. I think judgment's about to come to the United States. I mean, think about all those weapons and equipment that are sold to the Mexican drug cartel. I was telling you, there's rumors, at least I've been told through unofficial channels, through the border patrol, that they know that this stuff's coming through tunnels under our border into the United States. Some of this is. Where's it going? Who knows? But there are training camps. I know people who have busted up on some of these training camps. They've just been going down dirt roads and roll up on dudes with AKs, like training grounds all over the United States, here in the Southeast, everywhere, California, all over the West, all over the place. There are terrorist training camps in our government, in this country, and they're protected by our government agencies.
What?
This is all like theater. This is like watching a movie that's already been directed, and they know what they want to do. And it seems like to me everyone's in cahoots to bring this World War III. Look at all these Muslims here in the United States now. They're chanting, you know, Shira Law in New York and everywhere else, in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan. You got them in France, you got them in England. It's like this is systematically being done on purpose
For sure.
to bring a World War III, because in my opinion, I think all these world leaders are in cahoots with one another, and they just want to see the people being brought down to like a third world kind of entity so they can rule over them. And like you were saying, you know, then bring on the Antichrist once Israel's taken out. So I mean, for me, this is all like a big movie. It's all theater. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's all just a stage, and it's a show. They're putting up a false narrative so that all the mainstream Christians will believe that false narrative. And when it collapses, they're gonna fall. They're gonna doubt God, and it's gonna make called the great falling away. Right? You know, Paul tells us about that. There's gonna be the great falling away. A lot of these people are gonna then go drift off and go after the Antichrist. But those of us that are already seeking and seeing through this now, as long as we don't pay any attention to their narratives and just stick with the Scripture, we'll be good, and we'll see it before it comes.
Where do you think personally with all this, because there's going to be a lot of, I mean, just the Muslims, you know, taking out America is just a small portion of what's going to happen, because we do know the government and mainstream news media for the last few years have been showering us with their alien agenda. You know, it's no longer a conspiracy. They say it plain out. It's real. They even show us little videos of these little orbs taking out missiles and, you know, jets trying to follow them. It's no longer a conspiracy. We, as the United States and the whole world, they know. They say they're what do you call it? They're vehicles from other worlds. That's what they say. So where do you think that fits in with the collapse of humanity? I mean, that's going to have to, because I mean, how bad is it going to be when World War III happens and civil war, religious war? Like, that's going to be pretty much World War III. It's going to be everyone versus everyone. And then all those people die. I mean, for like, and then next, like, do you think these alien agendas are going to come in? I mean, how much more people can possibly be killed with these different waves of hell, pretty much? What do you think?
Who knows? I think the first thing that'll probably happen is, you know, Islam is going to come after Christianity, even probably here in the United States. I think churches need to be watching out, but they're probably going to have suicide bombers and attacks and stuff like that. It's probably going to increase progressively, and to the point where it's just all out. And it probably will happen globally. And then we're going to, you know, it's going to happen to Israel, and we're going to defend Israel, and it's going to be a full out war. But with the UFO stuff, I don't know definitively on that. I do know for a fact they're not aliens, they're demons. Like you guys know. So in our government, like even that guy, Lou Elizondo, I think is his name, that's done the congressional stuff. He's even straight up said it in Congress. He's like, there are people that I've talked to that says these are demonic entities. that we're getting this technology from. And I believe, like the Bible says, these demonic entities fell, they mated with women, and they trained men in the ways of war. And I believe that's where all this advanced technology comes from. It's fallen angel technology. Now, I do believe they could use some of this stuff for deception. I think they could use this alien agenda to make us hate God or attack after, Christ, because we know the Antichrist is going to come first, and then after that, Christ is going to be coming. And who knows, he may come in some massive thing. Who knows, the kingdom of heaven's 12,000 furlongs by 12,000 furlongs.
Yeah.
It's fungus.
Huge.
Can you imagine 1,500 miles wide, a spaceship type thing that whatever it looks like a cube, or it could be like a circle with a dome? Like, you can measure that dimension in multiple ways, or pyramid. Who knows? That's going to be, they may throw something like that up fake to get us and make it attack us, bring in aliens to attack us so that when he comes, we want to fight against it.
And yeah, that's what I was thinking. This is a theory that I have right here. I said it the other day with I think with David Carrico. I said this. Yeah, I think I said to David. So I have this theory, right? I told him, he laughed at me too when I said this. I said, I kind of believe in the rapture, then I don't. He laughed. He said the rapture is not real 100%. But my whole thing was, a lot of people do believe the rapture is real, right? Now, this is my opinion on it. Now, let's just say there's a rapture and a bunch of people witness UFOs sucking people up, the rapture, right? That right there, I mean, that could be a good excuse for them to, how do you say it? Never let a good crisis go to waste. That right there can also be some kind of false flag, to go to war with. Like you said, these things, the aliens come, they take people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, some people are going to believe it's a rapture. Some people think it's going to be an invasion. Some people are going to think God's the enemy, right? That would be a good way, how do you say it, when God does come back, oh, that's in the sky again. That's the enemy, the one that took all the people. Boom, boom, start hitting it. What do you think about that? Does a rapture something?
That's definitely a possibility. I do believe in, per se, a gathering together, because that's in scripture. I don't like the rapture in the way that they teach it. I don't believe it. I believe that it's at the end of the tribulation, because I believe the tribulation is to drive us to the Father. Some of the people that haven't come yet, and to drive us even closer. But I do believe there's going to be a gathering together. It's spoken about in the end of Deuteronomy chapter 30. It's spoken about in, I think, Ezekiel and Isaiah. It's also spoken about in Matthew and Revelation and 2 Thessalonians chapter 4. There's some sort of gathering together the Messiah does when he comes back to elect those of us who are obeying him and walking his ways. But you're right, man. That could be an event that they could use. Like, I could see it vacuuming people up. You know what I mean? Like holograms.
No, but just how you said, but the theory that I'm talking about, these Christians think this rapture is going to happen before the tribulation. Like, they're not going to have to go through. Now check this out. I also see that as a big lying deception. It's kind of like almost comforting. It's kind of making these Christians feel like, I don't need to do anything because, God's going to take me before the tribulation even starts. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's a lot of people that behave this way. They think they don't need to get prepared. They don't think they need to work out, get guns, get food stores. They don't believe in it because they really think that they're special. They're going to get taken up and no one has to suffer. The Bible says everybody's going to have to go through it. Everybody's going to have to die once. Everybody's going to have to go through tribulation. If you hear, these people believe they're going to be special and they're just going to, no harm can do them. And these people that tell me this, I say, well, how do you explain all these people in Africa that are being murdered as Christians? You think they're not praying? You think they're not waiting for a rapture too? I mean, I would say those people have more faith than a lot of people in America, and they're getting beheaded as they cry to God looking in the heavens,
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I think that is another aspect that's going to cause this great falling away, because you're right. Most Christians believe there's a pre-trib rapture. So if they don't get raptured and find themselves amongst great tribulation, they're going to be like, is God real? Like my preacher told me. Well, you should have read your Bible for yourself, because that's not what the Bible says. And you're right. There's going to be a lot of people fall away. I think that's what's going to emaciate the church. That and the destruction of Jerusalem and or Israel is going to be two big things that are going to be like, my preacher taught me all this stuff, and now it's completely the opposite of what he said. And people are going to doubt that God is real or that he is the most high God, because they don't know what their Bible says.
Yeah. And another thing too, like, I'm pretty sure you read into Revelation, Dom, you know a little bit more about it, but man, it's kind of wild to think about after the tribulation. I mean, just listening to it, it sounds crazy. You have, You know, you have this big city, you know, from heaven coming down. You have immortal bodies walking around. You have humans that already been to heaven and they're on earth, you know,
Mhm.
probably looking, you know, glowing or something, because you know they
Yeah.
look different from the regular. But then you got regular people like me and you also on earth, still
Yeah.
procreating, still working, still going to work. I mean, that's just like it's like a movie. Like what? Like how's that? Like what do you think about all that stuff? And then Jesus is going to be reigning at the same time with, and then there's going to be us, like, you know, I'm assuming us because we're a higher generation. We're going to be just what, floating, looking over, like, you know what I mean? Like that's wild to
I
think about.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah.
And if we are obedient, we're following the ways of the Most High God, obeying and keeping His commandments to the best of our ability. I believe we are the ones who get gathered together and become those spiritual bodies. And then it says we become the bride. If you dig into the bride of Christ, it's really deep and how important that is. But we become the bride, and that means we will reign with Him as kings and priests for 1,000 years. So there are going to be people that have mortal bodies outside. Now they may live 500, 600, 700 years like they did in the ancient days. Why? Because the world's not going to be poisoned and all these things, because the Messiah, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, is going to reign over everything. But some nations are going to try to defy him even after that, because
Damn.
it talks about they're going to have to come and do the Feast of Tabernacles. And if they don't, they're not going to get rain in their nations. So there's going to be people that rebel until he puts these curses on them of no rain, and then they're going to come and worship. But eventually, every knee will bow before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. But it's not going to happen just immediately. He's going to bring wrath. It's going to destroy tons of people. I imagine it looking like Mad Max in the Thunderdome. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Everything's scorched and destroyed. Everybody's starving to death. You know, we're in our spiritual bodies, and then we go out amongst this hordeness and just minister and minister and minister, and eventually everyone comes to worship him. And then at the end of that millennium, Satan's released for a little season to deceive the whole nations again, to rally against the Lord, and he just destroys them like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Awesome, man. Wild story. So where are we at right now? So
That's
for like,
that's
go ahead.
that's good. Just really quick that you brought that up. You know, after Satan will be released for a little season. Now, this, you know, little segue. You got all these people talking about we're in Satan's little season right now.
Mhm.
Where's this giant pyramid or cube in Jerusalem? Where are the saints? Where's the Mount of Olives split in half? I
Yeah,
mean, all this nonsense, and
you're right.
people are falling for this, and that's an opening to get, you know, something coming from the sky might be the Antichrist or the aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, we're in Satan's little season, so this must be the Messiah. And it
Mhm.
just, I'm gonna do a show on Satan's little season, but man, it just really blows me away that people are falling for this.
Yeah, I know. It's mind-boggling. Like I dug into it. There's some people push some compelling arguments that we're already in the millennium, and it sounds cool at face value because there are some scriptures when cherry-picked that kind of appear that way. But when we are rectified in context, as you know, it just doesn't hold water. If this is the millennium, I don't want to be in it. You know what I mean? Like this is not cool. Like is Christ reign? If this is Christ reign, this sucks. You know what I mean? Like this can't be our Messiah, the King. Where's
Yeah,
the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords? I don't see him. I can't go worship
yeah.
him.
You don't see him. You don't see people with glorified bodies during his reign. There's no more wars.
Yep.
There's wars going on right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, these people talk about the 70 AD, the temple, and this and that, blah blah. Well, okay, those are good points, but once again, the Mount of Olives is not split. There's no giant cube
Yeah.
or pyramid in Jerusalem. I don't see Christ around. I don't see, you know, these glorified bodies preaching to us. I mean, it's just like, okay, they got some points, but the way they're putting together is to fulfill their narrative. It's
Yeah.
not, they're not following scripture. Anything that's inconvenient in scripture for them, they throw it out.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, you're right though. I mean, after the rain, when it's ended, doesn't mean, you know, that big old cube's going to take off space or whatever.
It
That
comes
means,
forever.
yeah, and that means that that's when Satan's loosed. When that big giant kingdom in Jerusalem is still there, this is still going to happen because, like you said, there's people with mortal bodies who are going to make it to the wrath bowls, and they're going to. A lot of them are going to, once again, they're going to turn away from God for whatever reason, and that's when, you know, they're going to be just taken out. That's going to be over with.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
that
man, that's crazy.
final, yeah, that final battle is going to be pretty quick from what I can see. It's just he comes down with fire from heaven and destroys them, and it's going to be that quick. But you're right, the kingdom is already going to be here because they're going to rally around the camp of the saints. to take them out. You know what I mean? So, and it's not going to happen.
Nice. So I wanted to spend these last 30 minutes asking you the questions I always ask. Please, I would like for you to tell the audience about your supernatural stories, especially the one that you told me earlier. Let's talk about that. Your
Yes.
experience.
So after I retired from the military, I was struggling for a little bit, especially during the COVID time frame. I was not training dudes anymore. But I'd say like towards the mid to the end of the COVID time frame, I stopped doing all the cool guy stuff. I wasn't jumping out of planes and doing the shooting and stuff. And I was working kind of a desk job, doing some admin stuff, but I didn't have to travel as much. But when I did, I was just angry at the world. I was like, my wife and I weren't getting together. I hadn't come to the knowledge of the truth, you know, like obeying Christ and walking like him. I was a Christian. I believed and all, but I didn't know what we know now. And so I was struggling, man. And I, had rough times. You guys can look some of the other podcasts up and see the details on our testimony. But ultimately, my wife wanted me, a buddy of mine asked me to do the toad medicine. And it's the 5-MeO-DMT, like the super potent. It's like poison off the Sonoran desert toad, and you smoke it, and it takes you it's like the most potent stuff. So I did that. My wife was like, "I don't care if it'll save our marriage, just do it." And I was like, all right, because we were struggling, man, at the time.
What'd you see?
I didn't really see anything, but maybe God was protecting me from that, because my wife was praying against any type of evil spirits because she knew it could open up doorways and stuff. But I did it, and I didn't see anything, but I laid on my backyard back here on an air mattress looking at the sky, and it only lasted for like 15 minutes, but it just felt like I was completely connected with God. And I was like, God is real, absolutely real. I was like, I know for a fact. The only thing I think beneficial from that is that it showed me that the spirit realm was real. I mean, you just know that it's real when you do that stuff. And then, what's that?
No, well, like I would like to know if you could kind of describe, like, is it a feeling that you get? Do things look different? Because the best way I can I can kind of relate to it when you really don't have a word for it. Because the first time I tried shrooms, like when I looked at the sky, it looked the same, but it wasn't the same. The best way I can explain is that I knew that this was I knew this was like a reality that's a veil. Like that's the kind of feeling that I got. Well, how did
That's kind of the same thing, man. And I did the shrooms too. Actually, it was microdosing, and I actually took too much. Ended up in that situation too. But no, that stuff. It's kind of the same thing. I looked at the stars. It was crystal clear sky. Coyotes were like howling really close all around by our house, way closer than they normally are. I mean, it was like they were like 10 yards away, right in the woods. My wife was like, "Man, that is crazy. You hear the coyotes howling." But then, like a couple weeks later, I forgot to tell you another piece of this, but I'll add that at the end.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks later, my wife looks out the back window, and we can see a long ways behind our back of our house, about almost about 250 meters back to the woods, and on our property. And so she looks out there, and she's like, "Hey, there's this weird thing out there, some kind of animal." And I was like, "What the heck?" And I look out there, and it's the size of a deer. I mean, it's a big thing. And I'm like, "Man, this doesn't look like a deer," because it was kind of bounding like a coyote, kind of how they like kind of hop on all fours like that. And I'm looking, I'm like, "What the heck?" So I grabbed my 300 blackout AR that I have, went out back, propped up on a post that we have on the back porch to get a good steady shot. And this thing stopped right at about 200 meters, maybe a little less. And I shot it, hit that thing in the chest, shot it, hit it again, because it flipped over backwards, and then it started biting at its rear end. And then I shot it again, and it started yelping and screaming. And then I shot it again as it ran off. Went out there, found blood all over the ground, but I never found the animal. And this was like 12 noon, like right about 12 noon. The very next day, about 12 noon, in the same spot, coming up the same way, I see the same massive thing. This thing looked like a wolf, and we don't have wolves here where I live in South Alabama, so they say. But this thing was like, I'm talking like 150-pound animal. I mean, monstrous, but it looked like a coyote, like a wolf. And it came up, and I shot it again with a 5.56 AR this time, hit it in the chest. And the reason I swapped guns is because that 300 blackout, I wasn't used to the lead on it. And I missed a couple times when it took off running. So the next day I had the 5.56, and I shot it, hit it a couple times. It took off running. I hit it dead on every single time, rolled it a couple times, found blood everywhere, but never found a body. This happened for a total of like 4 days, all total, that I did it. And I never found the body of this thing. I put so many rounds of this thing, it had to have died. You
Yeah.
can ask my wife. I don't, when I shoot at things, they die. Like
Yeah.
it's a good shot. You know what I mean? I don't miss typically. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I rarely miss, especially with a rifle. You know, and it was amazing. I don't know what, I've never seen anything. It was way bigger than a coyote. And then a little bit later on after that, my wife was sitting on the front porch and she saw this thing and she called me. And by the time I got out there, it was too late, but she saw something that looked like a bear, but it was running on its hind legs across our field. And
Oh,
then she saw it go down its on all fours and disappear.
oh,
And I don't know
hell.
what that thing was, but I never saw it. She just explained it to me.
Oh, hell no. So it was running like a human and then it went on all fours?
Yeah, it was like on two legs running, but she said it looked like a bear, but it couldn't have been a bear because of the way it was walking. Then it went on all fours and ran off. And we don't. There could be bears here. Like there have been people that have seen bears nearby, like especially right in the Panhandle of Florida. But we've never seen any on our property. But it could have been a bear. But she said it was kind of weird the way it was.
It's crazy, dude. Oh man. It
We've
seems like
prayed upon it. We've never seen anything like that since. I don't know. Maybe I opened a portal with that.
I was about to say you could have had something follow you from that DMT trip or whatever it is, because I mean I believe a lot of these Bigfoot dogman things are spiritual in nature, I guess. Like I've heard stories too, like if you heard the typical skinwalker story, that guy that he shot that same thing, that big dog looking thing, the flesh hit it, the flesh flew out, the flesh stayed, but the damn thing disappeared.
I
And
think they're flesh suits that spirits live in. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. We never find a dead body. Nobody ever finds a dead body. They find prints, they find hair, flesh, blood, but never a body. Because I think it's just, I think demons use things like that. They may create these bodies like a flesh suit so that they can actually move around. Because think about it, they're disembodied spirits, the Bible tells us, right? Because they were killed during the flood. So they need us to live in or something else to be tangible.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because that's the whole thing with the whole blood sacrifice. Why the blood sacrifice? Well, from what I learned from studying all this weird occult stuff, what they believe in, you know, humans and just creatures in general on this earth, we are made of what? Flesh and blood, right? Angels are not. They're made of flesh and bone. So they need this blood type of sacrifice. Something with the blood, it allows them to come into this physical realm, because you cannot be in this realm without the blood. If you even a fly has red blood in it. Almost every creature on this earth has some type of red blood. So I thought that was very interesting to think about when you think about why the blood sacrifice. Why has it always got to be a blood sacrifice? It's not just for fun. There's an actual some type of scientific thing behind it with physics, where it attracts these things and opens some kind of portal. I'm not really too sure exactly how it goes, but I've spoken to many people who grew up in a SRA type of family, satanic ritual abuse, and the things that were done to them, and the animals that were killed, all the sexual stuff. It all does something for these entities to enter this realm. Something about sex is like a very powerful
It is.
act. It's a very powerful act. And even us as humans don't even know, you know, how far that goes deep. When we do that act, a lot of things happen. Spiritual thing happens, connections happen in the spiritual realm and the physical realm. I don't know if you heard of this, but they've kind of proved this already, where every like if a woman has had 20 partners in her life, right, and every single one of these guys at some point ejaculated in her, she keeps a piece of that DNA forever from every single guy, and the child that they have will have some sort of tiny percent of the DNA of those other men. And I find that freaking crazy, because God is so intent on being with one person, and I think that's for a reason. Have you ever noticed people who sleep around a lot, like that's all they do? They're just promiscuous. They've been doing it since they were 15 and they're 40 now, and they're just not all there. To me, I think it's because they have all these different personalities stuck in their head from all these different partners.
Dang, that's interesting. I've never heard that studied, but hey, it makes sense, right? I mean, marriage in the Bible was that act, right? That's
Yeah.
what created marriage, like it says, that the guy goes in unto her or raises his skirt to her. They said in certain different ways, but that's marriage in the Bible. So, and we're only supposed to do that with one person. You're right.
Yeah, it's wild. So I want to ask you one more question. So my last question to you is, I should ask you this first. What was the moment in your life, my friend, where you were just like, man, God is real, Jesus is real, and I need to turn my life around and I need to get back on the right path?
Well, I think that, I thought I was on the right path my whole life. I grew up Southern Baptist, going to church and all stuff like that. And then I thought I was on the right path. And then I started having issues and struggling whenever I got out of the military because I just felt like I didn't have a focus. And then my wife's like, study your Bible, study your Bible. So I started reading my Bible, and I read it because I believed that the Bible was corrupted and that it was completely corrupted by man and you couldn't trust anything that was in it. So I started studying it to prove to her that, hey, you know what I mean? This is a waste of time. I don't need to study this book. But I really put some time into it, and I studied it and studied it and studied. And then I started coming to her and I said, hey, did you know, like, there's these commandments that we're supposed to keep? She's like, oh no, we're saved under grace and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I was demonically possessed for a period of time. So she had no reason to believe me, but I kept studying the Bible, and I was freed of the demons that I had just by studying the Bible. It washed me by the water of the word, right? So I studied. Then I started showing her different things. And she's like, you know what? You're right. And then we got on this path, man. And so it really took me studying my own Bible for myself. I had to be retired from the military. I actually lost my job. I had a contractor job that I was doing at the time. And then they started mandating the COVID vaccine. And my wife was like, you do not need to take that. So I said, hey, I'm not taking that thing. And they fired me.
Oh,
So
shit.
I was without a job for a full year, just living off of our savings. And then I just studied my Bible. Like, I mean, there was times where I put 10 to 12 hours a day in. And then I said, at the end of that year, I was like, you know what? We're keeping the Sabbath day holy. And we just started on this path. And now we keep the feasts and we study and we do a little home church at our house and have people that we hang out with.
Wow. That's awesome, man. How was that? That era of 2020? That was a weird time. Was it pretty crazy out here in California? I mean, there was people that were wearing beehive suits. I saw people wearing pest control suits. I'm not even joking. I saw a guy with goggles on, and then he had the mask on, like water goggles. I mean, did it get pretty crazy over there? I had people that wanted to fight me just for being next to them. It was wild.
Bro, here in Alabama, it was a totally different world, dude. COVID lasted for maybe 2 months here. And it was completely way. Alabama at one point. This is another thing that pissed me off. I used to be a big Trump guy, big Trump supporter. I love that dude. I voted for him the first time. I voted for him the second time, even though he didn't get in. And then I don't vote anymore. I know for a fact our voting system is a completely staged. It's another theatrical event to make us think that we have a choice. I know it's for a fact. But I wanted to support Trump. And then Alabama was the least vaccinated state in the nation. Nobody wore masks. Nobody cared about anything. Like 3 months later, everybody's like, I ain't wearing that stupid mask. And it was there was some idiots that were scared of their own shadow that were wearing masks around here. But for the most part, nobody wore a mask. And so I would occasionally travel for work to places like New York, New Jersey, Fort Benning, like military bases. And military bases were the most strict. The government pushes its agenda on military bases first. So everybody's wearing masks and people are freaking out because I don't have a mask. I'm like, you guys, nobody wears masks where I live and nobody's vaccinated and everybody's good to go. So then Trump, this is what pissed me off about Trump. Trump has never, ever campaigned in the state of Alabama, ever, until that year when the statistics came out. Alabama's the least vaccinated state in the nation. Trump came to campaign on behalf of one of the Republican senators that was running for Alabama. And the only thing he got on stage to say was, take the vaccine. I helped create it. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It won't hurt you. And he pushed it. And Alabamians who are very conservative in droves went out and got it. And it
Oh
started
my
killing people
God.
like crazy. And that pissed me off. I was like, you got to, because I worked executive protection for a lot of the frontline doctors that spoke out against the vaccine. And I learned from their statistics. I'm like, dude, these things are not good at all. And this dude comes out and tells us it's good. And the only time he ever speaks to Alabama was when we're the lowest vaccinated, and he comes and pushes the vaccine and the vaccine rate goes up. and people got sick as heck all over this state after that. People weren't sick here until after that.
Yeah, no kidding. All the bad shit started happening after. And you know what pissed me off? See, I'm on the same boat as you. I love Trump, love the guy. But every day I start to dislike him more and more. And one of the things that really bothered me, is he like 2 weeks ago, he invited that demon Bill Gates to go have dinner with him or whatever to discuss, more nanotechnology being injected into us. And Bill Gates, he wants to create a digital tattoo. Sound familiar? Digital tattoo that's it, you put a UV on it, and it reads everything. It reads your biomarkers, your heart rate, your breathing, how your vision is. This tattoo is supposed to be, supposed to control everything in your body. And then they're gonna put some kind of I think they're gonna use like some kind of similar Neuralink, and that's gonna control all the things that you inject into you. I mean, that is sick. That is so sick.
I'll tell you, Trump is not a good dude. He's not even in the slightest bit good. He does not care about the Most High God. He's actually a Kabbalist. You guys know what Kabbalah is, right? It's
yes. Can you go into that?
It's Jewish mysticism. It's really one of the most pure forms of satanic witchcraft. Trump is a practitioner of that. He's written about it in his own books. He said that's one of the number one things that made him successful. Netanyahu, a lot of the world leaders, Putin, a lot of these people are Zionists, Kabbalists, right? A lot of our movie stars are tied into this stuff too. They're basically high-end mouthpieces for basically the beast system before it really fully comes into the beast system. So they're the ones driving everything in the world. He went to Jesuit universities, so he could have connections with the Jesuits right there. There's a lot of people who say he's potentially a Freemason, a high-level Freemason as well. So he pushes vaccine. He is not doing good things. Like he says the things that people like us want to hear, because we want success. We want our country to be conservative. We don't want the gay, transgender stuff and all that stuff. And he says a lot of the things we want to hear, but behind our back, he's just not doing good things. For example, I worked a fundraiser for Trump before he got elected this time. It was in Miami, Florida, and the fundraiser was run by the Clinton Foundation, and we were hired by a third party, so we didn't know who we were working for until we get there. And I'm like, this is the Clinton Foundation that's running this, and they donated $4 billion to Trump's campaign. It was the Clintons, the Saudi royal family, and some other people tied in with it, but ultimately the Clintons ran this thing and raised the whole thing, put it all together, but they raised $4 billion for Trump. So, I mean, the Clintons, everybody knows they're bad because they straight tell you what they do that's wrong. He's best buds with those people. I mean, they're like this behind closed doors.
Wow. And do you think he has any kind of connection to the Epstein thing? Is that why you think all of a sudden it's not real? All of a sudden the list is not real? Do you think that's part of it?
Bro, he's probably one of the biggest frequent flyers on that list. The list was leaked out about 4 or 5 years ago, and I saw there was all Bill Gates, Trump, all these people were on there. Dang, I don't know that Elon Musk was on there, but there's a girl named Whitney Webb. Have you guys ever heard of her?
No, who is she?
You just look her up on Google. Whitney Webb, she's been on a lot of huge podcasts, man, speaking out about this. And she talks about, she's dug into this, and Trump supposedly from what she says, Trump met Melania through Epstein. So Epstein basically had connections where he had connections with high end, basically brides that they basically peddle off to certain people that were high up. And that's what supposedly he met Melania through Epstein, and Elon Musk was actually kind of tied into that whole ordeal as well.
Wow, dude, you got a lot, man.
That's crazy.
I should have picked more. I should have asked more questions like that. I didn't know you knew all this stuff, man. Just really quick, I want to ask you one more question because so with Trump and him being involved in all that, I'm assuming I mean, what you're saying, you sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. What is this whole thing now where I see every single leader from all around the world, once they become a leader, they all go to Israel and they touch that wall and they do that humping motion? What the heck is that? What is the like, explain to me why Russia, why, countries that are not even remotely Jewish are being over there touching this wall. What's up with that thing?
Easy, bro. So in the book of Revelation, there's Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, Babylon the Great. That's Jerusalem. There are many more harlots, right? The false religions all over the world, but the mother of them all is Jerusalem, and I can definitively point that to you in Scripture. I'd come at it from like 3 different ways and label it as Jerusalem. And the Bible says that the mother of harlots would peddle the fornication and the wine, the false doctrine to the whole world. That's what the whole world works for Israel. Like that nation state of Israel controls the whole world behind the scenes. That's why all the world leaders have to come there and pay homage to them. They are worshiping and pushing the synagogue of Satan, bro. They support the synagogue of Satan. And then eventually some of these nations are going to turn against her and destroy her.
Wow. Yes.
And that's
yes.
what I get from the Bible anyway.
Yes. A lot of people say the whore Babylon could also be the Vatican too. But, Israel's like turning into like the worst place in the world. I mean, isn't Tel Aviv like the new gay capital of the world now? I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, transgender too.
Yeah, in Israel, of all places.
I do believe that Rome is a harlot. I believe modern day Christianity is a harlot. I believe Islam is a harlot, right? But the mother of them all is Judaism specifically, and they're in Jerusalem. Because think about it, all the false doctrine that we have in the modern Christian church and Roman Catholicism, and all its core started from Judaism, from those who denied the Messiah.
Damn. Shit, dude, I gotta have you on for another episode.
Man,
I love it, dude.
Even before that, so it stemmed from Babylon through Judaism into the modern religion. That's why it's Mystery Babylon.
And then just one more thing, and just something I've been looking into recently, and it blows my mind that this book is even a book, is the what's it called again? With the one that is the Jewish book that just talks bad about Jesus. I think it's called
Talmud.
Talmud. Yeah, the Talmud.
Yeah.
That thing, I just started looking at verses. I just put in Chat GPT, send me all the verses that go against Christianity, and the list just goes on and on and on. Basically, if you're a Jew, it's okay to rob people who are non-Jew. If you're a Jew, you can go to another country where no one knows you and can do whatever you want, cause crime, and then go back to your country when you're done. It says you can take women that are infidels. I mean, it's kind of like the Muslim thing. It's almost like the same thing, that they believe when you go to war, you could take the woman of the enemy. It's not a big deal. They also have some very young age fetishes too involved. Always having to get with little kids. And then another thing too that I'm also finding out is, I didn't know in the Middle East, I forgot the name of it. There's a term for it, an Arabic term. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's where a lot of these men, they hire these boys, these dancing boys, and they dance with them, and they have sex with them at some point. I didn't even know that homosexuality was huge in the Middle East, and it blew my mind when I looked into this, because at the same time, Islam is also against homosexuality, like hardcore, like they hate it, but at the same time they practice it. And it blew my mind, because not only did I research this, I heard about this a long time ago from the same friend that I told you that did a tour in Iraq. And when he told me, when he got back years ago, he said he was in shock, that he couldn't believe how many of these people out there are all homosexuals. Number one, they said there's not that many women out there. Number two, if there is women out there, you have to sleep with your sister and your mom, because there's just not too many people in some of these areas. And I want to go even further for what he told me. This blew my mind. Okay, just how they think, man. I don't know if this is part of the low IQ stuff, but he told me he witnessed this, where these people that the people that hold the law out there, they just pick and choose when they want to run the law. So if your two men are caught in the act of homosexuality, right, the man who is receiving it, right, the one that's in the feminine position, is 100% at fault and is punishable by death. The man who's in the man position, the one giving it, it's all good. It's all good. It's the guy who's feminine. It's his fault for allowing that man to do it to him. So he's going to be punished by death. I just blew my mind. I was like, what? I was like, what does that even mean? But yeah, dude, I don't know if you ever heard about this stuff, but I don't think my friend Chucky would lie. And then watching those videos of recently, on YouTube, looking up all that stuff they do, hiring the dancing boys, I believe it now.
Yeah. I don't know for sure, but it's been a while since I've been over there, but that sounds consistent to me. But yeah, I mean, the Jewish people, or the ones that call themselves Jews but are not and do lie, the Revelations 2:9s, 3:9s, those they have a lot of that fetishes in there. And guess what? Their religion is what kind of helped create Islam. Islam came as a break off from the Catholic Church, actually, when you really dig into it. So there's a lot of ties there. I don't know how definitively, but it was broken out of there. But before that came Judaism, and a lot of that stuff's in there. Like you said, you read in the Talmud, it says Christ is boiling and excrement in hell as a sinner, because he broke their rules, but he kept the laws of the Most High God and rebuked them because they added to, and that's why they were, of their father, the devil. They were adding all this satanic evil things. And then when you get into, there's the Zohar. I haven't really dug into that, but the Zohar and Kabbalah and all that stuff's even worse off and ties into actual blood rituals and stuff like that.
Nice. I want to have you back on and talk about the Kabbalah if you have any information about that, dude. Thank you very much. Dominic, you have any last questions for our friend right here?
No, just really quick. Were you in Iraq when they spotted that
Oh, the giant. I forgot about
that jellyfish thing that was going invisible and reappearing, going invisible, like tentacles, and it was just floating over an American base in Iraq?
I don't recall that. I was over there a good bit. But yeah, I don't recall that.
What about the Kandahar giant?
I've heard that story a million times. And I actually asked some of my Afghans, and they actually said that they believe that it's real. But they didn't have any real proof. They just said that folklore in Afghanistan is that it's real. But then the interesting thing to me that makes me doubt it is that the two units spoken of that they say actually killed this giant were Rangers and Special Forces. Well, if it was Rangers, that's my unit for like 18 years. I would have heard this story, and I've never heard of it through official channels. Then there's Special Forces. I know a lot of Special Forces dudes. My last couple of years, I worked at the Special Forces Freefall School, and I've never heard anybody say anything about it there. I didn't really ask around, but you would have thought I would have heard. So I kind of doubt it, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe there's some weird.
Just really quick. Did you see that that video that was released recently? It showed a UFO being hit by a Hellfire missile and it just bounced off of it.
Oh yeah,
it just bounced off, man.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what the heck? It looked like it was like a water, like it was like mercury or something. And the thing just kind of went through and then it broke into balls.
Yeah, like that. Two little balls were just behind the main craft, like following it. It was like really weird.
It was almost like it was a bubble of water that got dispersed and then just kind of kept flowing together.
That's weird, man.
Well, yeah. By the way, Dom, I love your hair. Just got to say that before we get off here.
Hey, thank you, man. I like yours too, man. Hey, this is the 80s, man.
Shoot, yeah.
There you go. There you go.
All right, but hey, thank you very much for coming on the show. God bless you. Before we get off here, please go ahead one more time. Tell everybody where to find all your social media.
Yeah, if you want to check me out at RRC Mike Edwards, like it is on the screen, for Instagram and YouTube. And that's pretty much all I have. I don't really do social media that much. I just literally have Instagram so that if people want to reach out, they can there. But it may take me a little while to get to you because I don't check it very often.
No
but
problem.
I'm there if you want to reach me.
All right, thank you very much, buddy. Hang on the line really quick right when I hang up and we're done recording, I'll say a proper bye to you. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the Sabbath at Midnight. Another great, exciting episode. I'm always learning new stuff, making new friends, just creating a bigger army for the army of Christ. I got a friend now who's a Ranger, man. I mean, look at all the friends I'm getting. I'm making some crazy friends here. I love it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all our social media platforms. Also say a prayer for me. I have a really bad cold right now, so if my voice sounds a little bit off, I've been sick like a dog for the last 3 days. So hopefully I get better here soon. Wash your hands. Don't get caught up in this nasty virus that's going around. But thank you guys, everybody. God bless. Have a great day. We're going to end.
Finally, I feel alive, and I know why. Cause I'm giving all the glory to the Most High. They don't want to hear the truth, that is no lie. If we ain't in the last days, then we're close by. The devil's trying to snatch your soul, and it's not a game. You hear me saying Jesus Christ, and it's not in vain. They might get offended every time I drop his name, but I'ma let them know that I'm not ashamed. That's right. ashamed of the gospel. Even if I know it'll be making them hostile. Thinking about the persecution of apostles. They want to see his people in the dirt with the fossils. You may be thinking that might sound extreme, but you gotta ask yourself, is this life what it seems? People suffering for Christ in this world full of schemes and agendas. Would you give your life for the king? Give it up. Martyrdom, yeah, that really is a thing. Better look it up if you don't believe, you know what I mean? We gotta try our hardest not to be so naive and be mindful of the children and people that bleed for the name of Christ. The only one that can save your life. He saved mine never once, gotta thank him twice. The amount of 1,000 thanks in a day, knowing I gotta give him more praise when I pray. Finally I feel alive and I know why, cause I'm giving all the glory to the Most High. They don't wanna hear the truth, that is no lie. If we ain't in the last days, then we're close by. The devil's trying to snatch your soul and it's not a game. You hear me saying Jesus Christ and it's not in vain. They might get offended every time I drop his name, but I'ma let them know that I'm not ashamed. Can't be content with just church on Sunday, or just going through the motions, cause one day I'ma have to give account for my time spent, and where my empty words and all of that pride went. Calamity bringing clarity. Seems like a good church these days is a rarity. 1 out of 7 in the book of Revelation. A perverse generation on the verge of devastation. A sign of the times, realizing that I'm in danger if I don't put my mind to the grind and do a work for the Lord. Every verse is a sword. Overseas there is people getting murked for the Lord. Imagining the whole church in the court, death itself shortly after rebirth in the Lord. Rapping for Christ like I wanna be his hype man, and I know opportunities have a lifespan. Finally I feel alive and I know why, cause I'm giving all the glory to the Most High. They don't wanna hear the truth, that is no lie. If we ain't in the last days, then we're close by. The devil's trying to snatch your soul and it's not a game. You hear me saying Jesus Christ and it's not in vain. They might get offended every time I drop his name, but I'ma let them know that I'm not ashamed.
The idea is trusting in God even when it doesn't make sense. From 2 Timothy 1 verse 12, this is why I am suffering as I am, yet I am not ashamed, because I know whom I have believed. I am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted to him for that day. I am not ashamed, he says. I'm not ashamed to trust